Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visite suprememastertv.com/schedule。
我们的节目提供多种语言，请看 suprememastertv.com/schedule。
When we destroy the living world by allowing species to go extinct, you're weakening the biosphere. And eventually we may reach a tipping point. And when that happens, the end of everything.
Dr. Edward O. Wilson, Who Saw the World Through the Selfless Ants, Part 2 of 2. Continue watching to find out more.
What blessing is greater than the vegan blessing? What attainment is greater than the Tao? What blessing is greater than enlightenment? Who can be wiser than a person who has attained the Tao? Venerable Ngom vegan.
In the vibrant kingdom of Eswatini, locals express gratitude with Nyabanga, meaning thank you, in the Swazi language. Brilliant viewers, I am Ayanda. The contented people of Eswatini thank you for your kindness to our animal co-inhabitants. Welcome to Dr. Edward O. Wilson, Who Saw the World Through the Selfless Ants, Part 2 of 2. Dr. Edward Osborne Wilson, often referred to as E.O. Wilson, was a world-renowned American biologist, naturalist, and twice Pulitzer Prize-winning author for his books on human nature in 1979 and The Ants in 1991. Often described as Darwin's natural heir, he was an entomologist and one of the world's leading authorities in myrmecology, which is the study of ants. Through his research and knowledge, E.O. Wilson recharted the course of Darwinian science. During an interview, Dr. Wilson explained the relevance of evolved insect behaviors to human nature.
Is the question of how have they become so successful? What is their altruism and colony organization? What is unique or special about that that makes them the equivalent of humans among all other animals? And the answer to that is, first of all, they've had a long time as a group of organisms in which to, by evolution, perfecting their way of life. They're 150 million years old, whereas humans have been on the earth in the form of Homo sapiens, our form, for only about 200 to 300,000 years. And during that time, the ants have perfected colonial organization based upon altruism. And ants have clearly advanced to that level because they come from groups of insects that tend to form groups anyway. And societies. And at first, the stages were very primitive, but then as the groups competed with other groups, the form of the cooperation became more intense and and more varied and complicated. And ants developed true altruism, in which individual ant workers sacrifice themselves as needed just to protect the colony.
In precious footage recorded by Supreme Master Ching Hai, she spoke about the ants' strong relationships and their loyal qualities.
The ants seem to have such strong comrade-like relationship or bond. They carry the dead home wherever they find them. Like this one is trying so hard to even climb the wall to bring his friend back after trying to revive him without success. He carried him until he so exhausted himself, and sometimes dropped him from the wall and took a rest, and then finally curled up beside him. I thought he's dead and tried to separate them just to see what happened. But then he woke up and tried to find his dead friend again. But finally, he was also too tired, so they died together. I also saw one big ant touching the mouth of a dead one for quite some time. Like half a minute or something, as if resuscitating him. But after a while, without success, he also carried the dead one away. Some ants come into my office place, and they could not get out because, I don't know, it's a long way or something to climb the wall to get in. Even I tried to clean, and they sweep them out, but they come back again. So I give them some fruit to eat, some fruit and some cake. And they just line up to wait for their turn. They never climb on top of each other or fight for that, even though they were desperate. I didn't really want to encourage them to come in, but since they came in and they don't come out and they die, so I thought might as well feed them. These ant stories are true stories, and I have been witnessing it. And the ants, they would carry their dead friends everywhere they found, not just in one place or not just where I had a chance to see. I also saw one small ant circling around his dead friend's body 7 times, as if paying the last homage ritual. It was so touching to see, and I can't help crying. Such a tiny community, and so respectful, so loyal to each other, that might make humans wonder about their qualities, and perhaps wishing that we can also practice such virtues.
Vegan omits your pain and early death.
Caring viewers will pause for a brief message as we joyfully anticipate learning more about the noble ant kingdom. We'll be right back here on Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to Dr. Edward O. Wilson, who saw the world through the selfless ants, part 2 of 2. After publishing his highly influential book, Sociobiology, in 1975, Dr. E. O. Wilson answered the critics who said he should only talk about insects, not humans. In his next publication, on human nature, which won him the 1979 Pulitzer Prize. This book also reached a more general audience, while opening up many new avenues of academic debate. In an approach that is sometimes referred to as evolutionary psychology, Dr. E.O. Wilson stood not only outside of religious creationism, but also offered an alternative to behaviorist science, which said humans are born as a blank slate to be molded at will. In Dr. Wilson's world, human nature, instinct, and social behavior were predetermined by genes that had evolved over vast amounts of time. In his 2014 book, The Meaning of Human Existence, Dr. Wilson warned against tribal religions that digress from the search for transcendental truth. During an interview with BBC News Night, Edward Wilson said,
I reject a title for myself, atheism. No really good scientist would say categorically there is no such thing as God.
Dr. Wilson's 1998 publication, Consilience, The Unity of Knowledge, was another bestseller. It attempts to bring all the scientific disciplines into harmony through knowledge sharing, for in doing so, humanity stands its best chance of overcoming future obstacles. Dr. E.O. Wilson published over 30 books throughout his lifetime. The Ants was written in collaboration with German biologist Dr. Bert Holdenbleh. It was a return to pure myrmecology, creating the definitive compendium on the subject of the most populous and diverse insect on the planet. The Ants earned E.O. Wilson his second Pulitzer Prize. His other bestsellers include The Diversity of Life and Naturalist, as well as Anthill, a fictional novel about the life and trials of an ant colony. In 2002, E.O. Wilson examined the fragile situation of our environment in the book The Future of Life.
Now, when you cut a forest, an ancient forest in particular, you are not just removing a lot of big trees and few birds fluttering around in the canopy. You are drastically imperiling a vast array of species within a few square miles of you. The number of these species may go to tens of thousands.
The living world, the biosphere, is a razor-thin layer of organisms that have evolved over billions of years to create close to exactly the right combination of species and interactions to maintain conditions that they live in. Our minds and our bodies are exquisitely well designed by natural selection to live in those exact conditions. And so we should keep in mind that when we destroy the living world by allowing species to go extinct, you're weakening the biosphere. And eventually we may reach a tipping point in which the whole thing starts to unravel. And when that happens, the end of everything.
In his later years, Dr. E.O. Wilson became increasingly outspoken, and in his 2016 book, Half-Earth, Our Planet's Fight for Life, he called for half of the Earth's surface to be preserved for the purpose of species conservation, which are declining at an unprecedented rate. At the 2015 National Book Festival, Professor Wilson talked about climate change and mentioned the benefits of choosing a plant-based diet to help the planet.
We have grown up in an ethos in which hunting big animals and then raising them in huge herds has transformed our eating habits way too far over to a carnivorous diet, just measured by health effects alone. And I would think that here the medical profession could play a key role in continuing to push people toward a vegetarian diet, but also by utilizing the immense botanical potential, diversity, and bringing into play varieties that can greatly increase food production on those lands we use now for agriculture would be a huge step forward.
All information concerning the scientific evidence of climate change and its solution is in Supreme Master Ching Hai's book, From Crisis to Peace, free for download at crisis2peace.org. Time magazine and the Encyclopedia Britannica both named Dr. Wilson one of the most significant scientists and influential figures in the world. He was an honorary member of more than 30 organizations, academies, and institutions, and the recipient of more than 150 prizes and medals. He has also inspired the scientific naming of several species. We are grateful for the important insights of such brilliant biologists, such as Dr. E.O. Wilson. Let us heed their warnings and be veg, go green to save the planet. For more information on Dr. Edward O. Wilson, please visit eowilsonfoundation.org.
Vegan, let's prove that we are humane.
Noble viewers, thanks for your delightful company today. Coming up next is hopeful Ukrainian political comedy, Servant of the People 2, right after noteworthy news, here on Supreme Master Television. May we strive to live in peace and harmony.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/MOS.